Hello and welcome to the beginning of what I hope is a very special project. One which can create positive change not just for LGBTQ Baha'is, but the Baha'i world. My name is Rayshel. I'm standing outside the place I spent much of my time growing up in the city of Riverside, California. This is the Baha'i Center, the place where I learned the world-embracing teachings of Baha'u'llah and became a true believer in the Baha'i Faith. I was raised in a Baha'i family. My parents declared their belief in the Baha'i Faith in 1971 and raised both my sister Erica and I as Baha'is. My mother's parents were taught the faith by my parents and declared their belief in the Baha'i Faith in 1973, making me technically a third-generation Baha'i. In the early 1980s, I was formally enrolled as a Baha'i child, but declared my belief in Baha'u'llah when I turned 15, the age of spiritual maturity in the Baha'i Faith. There's no pressure for children to become Baha'is, and I gladly did so freely. Riverside's Baha'i community was lucky to have an actual Baha'i center, which I considered my second home. Most of my memories of the Riverside Baha'i community are wonderful. It is a very diverse community which mirrored the Baha'i principle of unity in diversity. At an early age, the Baha'i community treated me as an equal. I was put on committees, assisted with the Baha'i bookstore, and served as the community's archivist for numerous years. I would also represent the Baha'i community at many events and on organizations the Riverside Baha'i community belonged to. I was an early reader and read most Baha'i books and holy writings I could get my hands on. That is when I discovered there was a Baha'i law against homosexuality, found in the synopsis and codification of the Kitabi Aqdas, as well as a reference book, Lights of Guidance. This new knowledge came at a time that I was discovering that I was same-sex attracted. Years of depression and thoughts of suicide quickly followed. I was very conflicted that the faith I loved would not embrace me, ultimately as a gay youth. My parents never spoke ill about gays and lesbians, and when I voiced my concern on the prohibition on homosexuality, they too shared my grievance, and felt it ran counter to the Baha'i principles of the unity of mankind, the elimination of prejudices of all kinds, and the embracement of science. I finally came out in the fall of 1996. I felt a huge burden was lifted from me, and that I had a new lease on life. My depression subsided, and I started losing the weight I accrued over the years. By the year 2000, I was elected to the local spiritual assembly of Riverside as openly gay. In fact, I had a meeting with the auxiliary board member for protection and the Riverside Local Spiritual Assembly, prior to being elected, assuring my safety being an openly gay man in the Riverside community. It was with the same auxiliary board member for protection who asked me to hold a deepening for her assistance on homosexuality, where I addressed the concerns of the LGBTQ community. I left this deepening with high hopes for the future. It was not only positive, it was the highlight of my being a Baha'i. I was making strides in the larger area across many Baha'i communities by this deepening. My story took an obvious turn when I met the love of my life, someone I wanted to share my entire life with and to guide him into the faith I so love. That was never to happen. But deciding to be happy, I had to make some tough life choices. The best one was to say I do to him in 2008. We were officially married on September 20th, 2008. Unfortunately, the fallout was too much for the American Baha'i community, and I was invited to leave the faith. That is another story to tell, not unlike many stories we plan on sharing as we move forward with the documentary. We have set up a GoFundMe account and have plans to begin shooting several interviews in the coming months, and we will share their stories soon. Until then, keep us in your prayers, and I hope you join us as we cause a shift in the Baha'i faith, one that will have a positive change in the world.